I used to be skinny fat, flabby stomach with no definition. These 7 simple things that no one ever told me completely transformed my physique to ripped. And trust me, this is gonna save you years. Tip number 1 is the Japanese philosophy of eating called Hara Hachi Bu. Essentially what this means is every time you sit down to eat, you should only eat till you're 80% full, rather than eating all the way to 100% or even over to like 110% full. And one of the biggest reasons I got fat in the first place was because every time I ate, it would be in front of a screen. So I'd be watching Netflix, I'd be watching YouTube, or I'd just be mindlessly scrolling TikTok or something. And when you're eating while scrolling, you never actually get the cue of feeling full because you're just so mindlessly watching content while you eat. And so what ended up happening was that I would constantly be overeating. I would be eating to the point of feeling sick, of feeling 100% full, of feeling even 110, 120% full. I would be overeating. And the biggest reason why was because I wasn't conscious. I couldn't be present while I was eating. And I couldn't even realize that I was full until it was too late. So last night, I actually just ate completely technology free. There was no TV. My phone was dead, so I couldn't even be on my phone while I was eating. And what I found was that I actually just stopped eating halfway through what I normally would have eaten. The reason being because I was completely focused on the food I was eating. Because I had no external distractions. I had nothing else to look at while I ate. I was fully locked in on how I felt whilst I was eating the meal. And what that meant was that it allowed me to realize that, hang on, I actually don't want to eat any more food. And that point was probably about halfway through what I normally would eat. And so if you can just eat to the point where you're only 80% full compared to 100% full, you will drop weight so much easier. But the thing is, you've got to be conscious of it. So try and eat your meals where it's possible without a screen, without technology, without a device, where you're just mindlessly consuming content while you eat. And by the way, if you're interested in a full free guide as to how to transform from skinny fat to muscular and lean, and I cover everything diet, training, and mindset related, you can check out my program. That's the link in the description. It's free for a limited time. So join quick. I want to see as many of you as possible inside. The second tip is to do cardio that you don't feel. So the key with this is to fit in more movement into your day without actually looking at your schedule and blocking out 30 minutes to an hour to actually do cardio. Instead, the cardio should fit into your pre-existing routine. It shouldn't feel like you have to change anything to do the cardio. And the easiest way to implement this as a 9-to-5 office worker or just worker in general is to use your lunch breaks, which might be 30 minutes, which might be an hour, to go and do cardio. Use that lunch break to go on a walk. Use the lunch break to even go to a gym that's nearby you at work, and you could incline walk on the treadmill and burn even more calories that way. Or if you're even feeling a bit friskier, you can go on a run during your lunch break. And this is what I love to do. But it can be difficult if you don't have a shower that you have access to. You don't want to stink up the office. So what I most commonly see, the best way to go about this is to just go on a 1-hour walk in your lunch break. When you walk for an hour, not only do you get all the cognitive benefits of just being outside in sunlight, but you will burn an extra 300 to 400 calories even per day. And that adds up. If you're doing that every day throughout the week, that's an extra 1,500 calories that you're burning throughout the week, Monday to Friday. And that is going to do a hell of a lot when it comes to burning that extra fat. If you have to take calls as well, you can just go on a walk while you take the call. There's all of these things that happen in your day, I guarantee you, that you don't actually need to be sitting down for at your desk. You can be doing some cardio whilst you do it. Even potentially as I record this video, I could be walking whilst I did it. And that way I'd be fitting in the cardio into my life effortlessly. And when you do cardio and you take that approach to doing cardio, that is when you do cardio, but it doesn't feel like you're doing cardio. The third tip is to beat your cravings. So skinny fat guys and guys who just want to lose fat always think to themselves, oh my God, I need to stop snacking. I need to be more disciplined. I need to have more willpower to say no to the junk food. And that was the exact way that I used to think as well. I used to think that I needed to be more disciplined to stop eating all of the junk food and to stop overeating so that I could actually lose fat. But the real fix is to just eliminate those cravings before they even appear. We want to fix the root cause of you having these cravings. And if you don't even have the cravings in the first place, you're not going to relapse and start snacking and eating all the junk food in the world. So to actually fix the root cause, the first thing you've got to do is to fix the trigger. Most people will only binge eat when they're feeling sad, when they're feeling bored, when they're feeling stressed. And so every time you get a craving, I want you to think to yourself, would I be happy eating a piece of broccoli right now? And if the answer to that is no, then you're not actually hungry. You're just bored, stressed, or sad. And that's the reason you're having the cravings in the first place. So we need to remove that trigger. If you're bored, then try and do something with yourself. Go on a walk, do something productive, hang out with your friends, and I guarantee you the cravings will go away. If you're stressed, again, you can go on a relaxing walk after having your dinner. Try and look for options to de-stress rather than binge eat. Go to sleep, in fact. That's going to do a hell of a lot for your stress levels. So if you can fix the underlying emotion that's leading to your binge eating behaviors, you're going to actually beat the craving itself. The second thing I want you to do here is to just give up snacking for 21 days. It takes 21 days for a habit to become ingrained in you. And in those 21 days, I want you to think of it this way. If you want a plant to grow, you should water it every day. And that's what you're doing with your cravings. Every time you give in to your cravings and eat the junk food, you're watering the plant, and the plant is growing bigger and bigger. And so your cravings grow bigger and bigger. But if you stopped for 21 days, you didn't water the plant, it would die. And so the same thing happens with your binge eating. If you can give it up for 3 weeks, you've effectively stopped watering the plant that is your cravings. And after 3 weeks, you don't have these cravings anymore because you've stopped feeding it. A craving needs to be fed in order to continue and grow. And if you stop feeding it, then the craving dies and goes away. So in those 21 days, your ghrelin levels reset. You don't become as hungry at the times you normally get cravings, and your body becomes accustomed to eating at set times. And with that, you get 80% fewer cravings, you have better energy, better mood, and the nighttime binges that you go on stop. You can even print out a habit tracker, which is just a table that you can check the box for every day you don't snack. And once you get to the end of the 3 weeks, you're going to enjoy all of these benefits. The fourth tip is to eat the same meals every day by meal prep. So when you're busy at work or doing whatever it is you're doing, and then you have nothing to eat, what ends up happening is because you are busy, your default is to go to convenience. And what does convenience look like? It looks like going on Uber Eats. It looks like ordering takeout so that you don't have to cook and spend more time doing things that are taking you away from your work or whatever it is. And overwhelmingly, the food that you get from Uber Eats or takeout is going to lead to you staying fat because you're probably eating shit foods off Uber Eats, burgers, pizzas, things that are not going to do you any good when it comes to getting lean. So the solution to this is to meal prep so that every time it comes to lunch, it comes to dinner, or it comes to a time where you have to eat, you don't have to resort to Uber Eats or eating out because you've already got food prepared in the fridge, ready to just be heated up in the microwave. And the beauty of this is that that food that you've already prepared is clean, natural, and unprocessed. That is actually going to allow you to achieve your goals of getting lean because it's low calories, natural, it's all of the above. And I know what you're thinking, oh, I'm just like way too busy to like cook and do meal prep. But it literally takes an hour to cook lunches for the rest of the week. And I guarantee you your screen time is probably over 1 hour. You're probably spending over an hour on YouTube. You're watching YouTube right now, on Instagram, on TikTok, doing things that aren't really productive. So just take this time and spend it on prepping food for the week to come. Tip number 5 is to eat as many calories as possible while still being in a deficit. So I feel like as a skinny fat, your default attack is to just go and lower your calories. If you want to lose fat, the first thing you think of is, yep, I'm lowering my calories. But lowering your calories, as I found out the hard way, only works until it doesn't. Because what I did was I started cutting calories. I cut calories, I cut calories. I was losing weight, I was losing weight. But it gets to a point where you can't cut your calories anymore because you're eating 1,500 calories every day. And by this point, you're on a prisoner of war diet. So you can no longer lower your calories and lower your calories to continue losing weight. And when you try and use that method of losing weight, what ends up happening is you actually get weaker in the gym. You start losing muscle, you have no energy, and you're just starving all the time because you're literally eating the same amount of food that people in prison eat. So the key is to try and eat as many calories as possible while still being in a deficit. So if you're burning 2,500 calories per day, try and eat 2,300, 2,400 calories. You're still in a deficit, but it's a small deficit. And that way, when you're getting all of these extra calories into your body, it means that you can still build muscle whilst in a calorie deficit. It means your energy levels are going to be 10 times better because you have access to so much more nutrients, to so much more energy, literally. And you're going to feel way more energy. You're not going to feel hungry all the time. And if you can make the process of getting lean sustainable, that's when you can actually stick to it long term. And that is when you actually get lean. And I'm telling you right now, muscle growth is actually way more important than you think for fixing your skinny fat physique. And the way that you build muscle is by eating more calories. You cannot build muscle on eating 1,500 calories every day. I've learned that the hard way. When I was eating that level of calories, I would come to the gym every session and be weaker on bench press. I was doing 60 kilos for reps. Then the next week I was on 55 kilos and then 50 kilograms. And I was like, why the hell am I getting weaker? I'm literally in the gym training, trying to get stronger. And yet I'm getting weaker session on session. And the reason is because I was eating like a prisoner. So you need to simply introduce more calories into your body so you can restart the muscle building process. And adding muscle to your frame will do so much more for your physique than losing fat will at that point in time. Tip number 6 is to have a high protein morning. The conventional way to eat at breakfast is to have like cereal or have a piece of toast with like peanut butter. If you eat that way, you're setting yourself up for failure for the rest of the day. Because when you eat that way, you're spiking your blood sugar levels. You're making it so you're going to be so much hungrier throughout the rest of the day because you've had a carb-heavy, fat-heavy breakfast. You need to have protein in your breakfast instead. We know that protein is the most satiating macronutrient there is. So if you have protein in the morning, you're setting yourself up for success for the rest of the day because you're not going to have as many cravings. You're not going to be as hungry because your blood sugar levels are way more stable. So the first thing that I do every morning is have a scoop of protein powder, mix it with water and down it. And then after training in the gym, I'll come home and eat 6 eggs and a protein smoothie. So I've had around 60 to 70 grams of protein before the clock strikes 7 a.m. in the morning. And because I've set myself up this way, I literally never crave anything throughout the rest of the day because I've had a high protein morning. So don't be scared of having 2 scoops of protein powder in the morning or eating heaps of protein before like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning because you're setting the rest of your day up for success when it comes to fat loss and muscle growth. The last and final tip, number 7, is to be boring. I'm telling you that when you are a boring person, when you have a boring meal schedule and eat the same things every day, when you have a boring training routine, when you're going to the gym at the same times every day, doing the same training routines, the same exercises, and pushing yourself hard, and then being boring with your sleeping and recovery and going to bed at the same time every night and having the same duration of sleep every night of 8 hours, that is when you're going to get the best results because structure and simplicity is the key when it comes to achieving the dream body. You need to be consistently doing the habits that are going to take you to your goal. And consistency comes from being boring, unfortunately. It comes from doing the same things every day on repeat for months on end. People want the perfect training routine, the perfect diet plan, where they can change the things that they eat every day and have salmon one day, eggs the next day, beef the next day, chicken, and so on and so forth. But the problem with that is that it's so complicated and you get so convoluted in all the different things that you're trying to do that nothing ends up changing because you can't stick to it because it's new things that you're doing to yourself every day. If you're trying to stick to a new training routine in the gym every time you go. Good luck with sticking with that because it's just too much for your brain to comprehend. You need to be simple, structured, and consistent. And over time, you will see the results that have come from being boring. So again, if you're looking for the full breakdown with over 5 hours worth of content, training, diet, nutrition, mindset, everything you need to know, check out my free program that is free for a limited time. That is in the link in the description below, where you can check out all of that stuff. I want to see you in there. So if you learned anything from this video, please consider subscribing. We're getting to 20K subs soon. And if you want to keep on learning, you can check out this video here. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one.